Welcome to the finale recap of Stranger Things. Jim, welcome again. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
thank you for joining us. I got
Always
my Stranger Things sweatshirt on.
there you go. Well,
What
I did that last time, so today I'm celebrating the fact that my Buffalo Bills won the first playoff game. I don't know how since how long, so I'm celebrating that. So, but ready to talk about some Stranger Things.
okay, cool. Well, I guess we can start off with how it started. They go into the Upside Down, everybody, and then unfortunately the military's like runs right after them. Yeah, so that was kind of an intense moment. I'm like, oh boy, there's a whole bunch of them running, but like quickly go over there. But they make it, and everybody jumps out and gets ready. Hi, Linda, welcome.
Hey, Linda.
Okay, the next step is when they're bringing Eleven and Collie to the Hawkins lab, and to get ready to fight Vecna in the other world. So they go 11 goes into the bath, of course, and then 8 Kali is off to the side getting ready. Everybody's in position, getting ready to fight the last fight. It's pretty intense. Like, is this going to happen? But however, they're being followed not too far from this creep and his gang, trying to get 11, and that was kind of intense too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing that I really liked about the finale was it kind of just kicks into high gear from the get-go. And I feel they did a really good job of setting up everything that eventually unfolded in the finale. I think they did a good job of kind of building up to that in the episodes prior.
Yep.
But yeah, great beginning to the finale.
Yep. And of course, they show Vecna what he's doing, and he's, of course, got the kids connected to his powers, and they're all trying to get the other dimension that they're in right now to connect with the Upside Down into our reality. So that's being activated. And another intense moment is when they're at the people, Erica and her teacher is at the church. They get found out by the soldiers, and of course the van gets discovered as well. So they get
hmm
discovered.
Now, one of the things that I don't know if we covered in the previous episode analysis that we've done, but I was really happy to see them flesh out the character of Mr. Clark, the science teacher. It
Oh
was
yeah,
so cool to see him, finally becoming hip
participating,
to
yeah, in the
to
fight.
what's going on with everything. Yeah, and
Mhm.
just seeing, like all they had to do was mention Dustin's in danger, and he's
And he's like,
like,
"What? What's
so
wrong?"
yeah. Yep. So that was cool to see his character develop a bit. I would have liked to have seen him maybe do that a little prior to this particular season because I think he was a character that was underutilized.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, but I'm glad we at least got to see a little bit of it.
I mean, with the knowledge that he had, he was pretty good for being utilized in destroying the Upside Down, pretty much.
Absolutely. Yep.
So meanwhile, 11 gets in the bath, and of course, Kali gets in position as well.
hmm
And then something weird happens to Max right afterwards. That was kind of scary for me. She's over with the nurse back at the radio booth. Oops.
Right. And she all of a sudden snaps back into where she's clearly not,
Yep, she goes back
not.
into the. I'm like, did Vecna get her again? Like, what happened? But it finds out
Yeah.
find out soon as she leaves out of the radio area. She meets up with Kali and 11.
Yep.
So they're discussing like what's how do we get into enter Vecna's mind. So they're utilizing her to enter his mind, pretty much.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty smart of them to utilize her.
It was, and I was thinking all this time, what would be, obviously, I think I mentioned this the last time. I wasn't quite sure what to make of Kali and whether or not she was somebody we could really trust.
Mm,
And quite obviously, the final answer on that is yes. She did stay faithful and true to her sister, right?
yep.
But I thought it was really cool how they. I forget exactly how Max phrased it, so I'll paraphrase it here. But she's like, I've been inside his mind. I can guide you from inside Vecna's mind and
Yeah.
help you get to where you need to go to actually find Henry, find Vecna, and that was really cool to see the three of them, plus of course having Will there to help them as well. So
Oh
in,
yeah.
in
Yep.
in some ways it was kind of 4-on-1 instead of 3-on-1, which was really
Hmm.
cool to see.
Yep. So everybody gets in position. Everybody like climbs up that big tower in the upside down, and they're looking off like, "Oh, what a beautiful view! It's too bad we have to destroy all of it." Like, destroy it. It's all
Yep.
bad.
That's right. Yeah, and I don't know if we want to talk about that moment on the tower yet, but yeah.
Oh yeah. So this happens when the kids are and Vecna are doing their thing. They're starting to collide with the upside down, and that becomes quite intense.
Hmm.
And let me get rid of these two first. So there we go. Hopper signals 11 to like move faster, like it's coming in pretty quickly. So that's pretty much it's hitting the top of the tower there, and it's kind of shaking them back and forth. And I know this was an oh crap moment for you, Jim, when Steve ends
Y-
up
y-
swinging off the side there and falling, almost
y-
falling to his
Yeah,
death.
so for me, and you and I talked a little bit about this before we began recording, but
Yeah,
anybody that knows me knows that I've been Team Steve ever since season 2, right? And so the big fear among a lot of people, myself included, was that Steve was going to be one of the ones to pay the ultimate sacrifice in this final season. And there's that moment as the two worlds are kind of colliding there, and Steve falls over the railing and manages to grab onto the bottom of the little platform that they're standing on. And
yeah.
my daughter and I are just looking at each other like, oh gosh, this is it, this is it. No, no,
Oh
no, no,
no.
no. And sure enough, you see it. He loses his grip and he falls. And then what happens? The screen fades to black.
First, like
Shadows of the
7 seconds of intensity right
right,
there.
right, like shadows of the final episode of The Sopranos, right? Like what really happened? And so, of course, I'm freaking out. My daughter is freaking out. We're yelling, jumping off the couch, yelling at the TV. It fades, comes back in, and Jonathan saved the day at the last minute by grabbing Steve's hand. And
Yep.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
you sons of. That's worst tease of all time, but it was effective.
Yep. They pull him up. Now, of course, they're closer to the next other dimension, Dimension X.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
they're able to climb in after that.
Yep.
Let me uh, into the next chapter here. So they're climbing into Dimension X, right into where the heart of where Vecna and the children are. And that's quite a weird moment. And of course, 11 and 8, Kali, actually are actually able to make it to the house of where Henry is. 11's able
Yep.
to shoot Henry out of the window and get all the kids out of harm's way. And when he comes back, he's really pissed. All the kids are like hidden, and there's like one-on-one intensity fight with Elle.
Well, one of the things that and that was actually a brilliant strategy that Elle and Kali devised in that moment, because
Oh
clear up
yeah.
to this point, the only ones that know the truth about Henry as far as those kids go are Derek and Holly, right?
Mhm.
And Derek, because Vecna basically threatened him by showing him visions of his family murdered unless he complies with the lie. So Elle and Kali show up after they, dispatch Henry momentarily, and so I forget if it was Elle or Kali or whoever it was just like, just watch, you'll see what we mean, you'll see that we're telling the truth. And sure enough, Kali projects the image of it's just being Elle and Henry that are there, and sure enough, in that moment, when Henry comes to and comes back out after Elle threw him, he confronts Elle, and he slowly morphs into Vecna, and the kids can see that
Yep.
Henry all along was lying. Holly was telling the truth, and yeah, that was a pretty smart way of handling it on that
I
end.
believe that was Max that was sharing. Like,
Was Max? Yeah. Okay.
but
Yeah.
they
Yep.
he is the monster. It'll show you right there.
Yep.
And of course, that shocks the kids. Like, oh, he's not Mr. Watson. He's not Mr. Rogers. Like, of course
Yep.
he's not. He's a monster. And they were all showing that Max was the monster. No, he was the true monster.
Yep. Very true.
So meanwhile, in Dimension X, I guess we can call it, they
Hmm.
arrive closer to where the hive mind is, and things get a lot more intense at that point.
Yeah, once they get to Henry's chasing them all, and they're all rushing back to the safe place, which of course is the
The
cave
cave.
and whatnot. But yeah, it's really funky because it like in the last episode, the last series of episodes, we learned that what we thought the upside down was really wasn't what we thought it was, and it's actually a wormhole connecting to another world somewhere, presumably out in the cosmos somewhere. So it's actually a completely different planet, and that's what ends up happening in this. Is Henry's plan is to bring that planet into connection with Earth, and so yeah, it's pretty intense stuff.
you know, Multidimensional Oral says, I was biting my nails. Yeah, that was a biting nail moment. The very beginning was just before the fight.
Yep.
So the next thing that happens is Vecna's got a weird trick up his sleeve. Starts messing with Hopper
Hmm.
while, of course, 11 is in the bath. And he gets into 11's mind and is showing what the discussion that both Kali and 11 were having. Like, what do we do after the battle? We're just going to stay on the bridge and disappear. And
Right.
of course, Hopper ends up shooting at the bath and ends up leaving a hole in the bath right there. So he panically like pulls her out, and of course that pulls her out of her trance that went into. That pulled Kali out, and that of course that pulled Max out as well. So the children
Hmm.
are left by themselves in this world to face Henry, and they're all like running around by themselves, like what happened? What happened? All three of them disappeared.
Yep.
Good thing Holly was had a good head on her shoulders, and she said, like, let's stick to the plan. Let's get to the cave.
Yep. Yeah, Holly throughout the whole thing has proved to be quite the impressive little badass. I was,
Oh yeah,
definitely comes from good stock, considering her older sister Nancy is basically like Rambo, and Mike
yeah,
is like
her
this
mom
turned
too.
in. Yeah, Mike's like this brilliant, statistician and or tactician, I guess we could say, and just yeah, I really like the way Holly's story arc went throughout this last season, and
Yeah, yeah.
definitely a leader.
Pretty much, especially after helping Max help her get brave as well.
Yep.
Meanwhile, after the situation, Hopper kind of confronts 11 about the plan the discussion that her and Collie had. Like, you're not going to die, are you? You're not going to planning on killing yourself. So they have an intense battle here, and of course, Collie is pointing the gun at Hopper. So that's kind of thinking, okay, is she going to shoot Hopper? Of course, that's when 11 and Hopper calm down and they make that discussion. Hopper gives her the speech like please don't kill yourself. Please be able to have a future, a normal future, and have your own kids. So that kind of gives us hope there, like she's gonna choose to live and not kill herself on the bridge.
Right.
Be able to try to have somewhat of a normal life.
Yeah, it was really
That was a
it
touch
just
there.
it was definitely a big moment emotionally between Hopper and 11, and it was cool to see that, and also the fact that Henry is showing Hopper, quite obviously to try to get inside Hopper's head, and to Hopper's credit, he didn't completely buy into it, even though, as Henry said it was the truth, and it was. 11 and Collie had kind of agreed that they were gonna, you
Yep.
know, do what they needed to do to make sure that all this stuff would end with their demise, and so it was really cool to see that moment flesh out between the two of them.
Yep. Well, meanwhile, Murray gets over the radio and say, "Hey, we got company." So, well, the troops arrive at the lab. So they're pretty intense. They're trying to get out of there. Okay, let me next scene here. Meanwhile, in the Henry's world, Holly leads the kids back to the cave, and of course Derek is lagging behind because he tires the most. And behind him is the portal opening. Henry's reappearing. So
Yep.
Holly comes back for him, like, "Come on, let's go." So they go. They make it to the cave. However, Henry ends up grabbing Holly and tries to drag her out, but Derek saved the day and pulled her back. And of course, he
Yep.
did his famous Derek moment. "Suck my fat one." That was the best part. And of
Yep.
course, he's standing there defeated completely, almost defeated, because it took him a minute. Now, later
Yeah.
on, we find out like why he was so afraid of the cave.
Yeah, and it was really cool to get that backstory. And my understanding is that to fully understand not just that whole aspect, but just kind of the whole last season here was it helps to have seen, or at least to understand what took place in the Broadway play of Stranger Things, whatever, that Beyond the Shadows or whatever the heck it is, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of fills in that backstory on Henry and how his family at one point, if I remember correctly, lived in Nevada where the nuclear tests were going on back in the
Yep.
50s. And
Just before that happened, they actually brought the Philadelphia Project in that apparently Dr. Brenner's father was on. That happened,
yep,
and they need to have the Broadway play on Netflix because I've seen previews of it, but I've not been able to see it. It was a pretty good time lapse of what happened exactly to Henry. I mean, he wasn't born. I mean, he was kind of born with powers, but they weren't activated until exactly what had happened in the cave. That's what activated his powers because he disappeared for a while. He ended up in Dimension X. And that activated his powers, and he came back completely changed after that.
right,
And
yep,
that's how he ends up killing his family, and the story ends from there.
yep,
So that was the most intense memory he had, was right there in the cave when it all started, when he confronted that scientist with the briefcase.
Yep.
He's in
And
Vecna.
there's a really cool moment that happens as he's kind of in that space, and
Hmm.
um, I don't know if we want to cover that right now because
Yeah, it's like a little bit.
it's a little bit later, so
Yep,
we can hold
we'll
off
do
on
that
that.
later. So meanwhile, the kids are in the cave, and they Holly's like, "It's okay. He can't come in here. We're safe." Until he gets brave enough, oh boy, go into the cave. Yeah, they hear this noise. Holly tells the kids to stay where they are. She ventures out and finds, guess who, coming into the cave to try to go after them. So of course Holly leads them out of the cave to try to run out into the desert to try to get
Yep.
away from him.
Yeah, it's pretty. They're doing a really good job up to this point of building up to the ultimate tension of when the final battle actually works. But it's
Yeah.
because it goes through this whole time where it's like, okay, this cave for some reason it's a safe haven for obviously for Max and for Holly and
Hmm.
now for the kids that are there because Henry, just for whatever reason, the only thing we've seen where Henry appears to be absolutely paralyzed with fear, which, considering all the amazing things and terrible things we've seen Vecna do since his introduction last season, it's pretty impressive to see that Henry is pushed his way in through, and he's gotten to the point to where he's worked up enough courage, I guess is the best way to say it,
Yeah.
to get that far into the cave, and it's yeah, good tension builder.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, oh no, he's in there. Oh no, he got brave enough to get in there.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the Upside Down at the Hawkins lab, something sad happens. Of course, the military's there. They turn on the helicopter, comes in, and turns on that stupid kryptonite thing. I guess I don't know what you would call the hedgehog. Some people are calling it, and of course that weakened
Directed energy weapon.
directed it. Yep, exactly. That weakens Collie and 11. Of course, Hopper is grabs 11, starts to run off, and leaves Collie behind to fend for herself. And meanwhile, Murray's on the top of the roof, like, where is everybody? Why isn't anybody answering on the walkie? So he has to take matters into his own hands at that point, and he's got like a bomb that he puts together. And later on, he does destroy the kryptonite by destroying that helicopter, by throwing the bomb on the helicopter. I'm like, good for you, Murray.
Which
He's a
was really
hero.
cool to see Murray do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's standing like, is he gonna jump or is he just gonna? He just jumped on top and the railing and just threw that on top of the helicopter. Like, yes,
Yep.
it's
Yep. That was
destroyed the kryptonite.
definitely a big payoff and a good way to develop Murray's character even more into. I mean, look at how far his character came. Back with his introduction in season two, where he's like this, conspiracy theory, National Enquirer type of, journalist that
Yeah,
nobody takes seriously. And it turns out he's right on, all of his conspiracy theories, at least where, Hawkins and Eleven are concerned. And then we see more of him quite obviously in season three,
mm-hmm.
uh, and then through the season four, and then now just to see that he's at this point. His character arc has been one of my favorites to watch unfold. Was
Oh
and when
yeah,
he did that, that was definitely a cheering moment.
yeah. He was quite the hero there, stopping things, and
Yep.
that, of course, that caught the troops off balance. That captured Collie and is like threatening Hopper with all this stuff, and
Yep.
of course that leaves Collie mortally wounded. Of course, 11 does her thing by killing that the Scarface guy that had the gun pointed
And that
at.
was like one of the most intense kills that we've seen Eleven do. that was that
Oh
was
yeah,
uh, that was that
he
was
was
that was
pissed.
something to see. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
The sad part was seeing, of course, Collie passes away, and they
Or
Hopper and
did
11.
she?
Maybe
Or
not.
did she?
Or maybe it was just an illusion that they created with
Mm,
the Hopper. Who knows?
exactly. We'll
That's
have to revisit that.
mm, yeah. Meanwhile, after Collie supposedly dies, they meet up with Murray on the top of the roof, and they give the notice that Collie probably passed away. Of course, Murray's like, "I'm sorry, 11, for your loss." And
Mhm.
11 is preoccupied because she sees the out there the dimension, or Dimension X, and she can like actually jump those boulders into Dimension X where the others are and join them. Of course, Hopper's like, "Okay, you're gonna do that, and what if you fall?" And she's like, "I'm not gonna fall." And but he's like, "What happens after you kill him?" And of course, they she talks to him and kind of gives him like a goodbye moment, like, "I'm not Sarah. I'm not a kid anymore." That was kind of a sad thing for him, but just
Yeah.
letting her know that you raised me, you taught me love and taught me how to socialize, be a kid, and that was the best thing Hopper could do, was try to give her the best life he could, and he did, and he
He.
made her into the young woman that she became. Very
Yep.
brave woman.
100%.
Yep. So she gets brave enough. She joins the others into Dimension X and joins the fight. Meanwhile, the kids are trying to find their way out, and they go into that. They run into the desert. They go into that hole that Holly had fallen into a while back. So the whole of them
Hmm.
climb in. Of course, Henry's running after them and follows them.
And she tells them, don't worry, the stuff that you see here
Mhm.
can't hurt you. Don't believe your eyes, kind of type thing. And
Yep.
they enter that memory where Henry has that massive turning point in his life, the
Yep.
encounter with the person there with the briefcase in the cave, and yeah, pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, and as Henry goes into after them, the memory is getting a lot more tense. He's scared, and of course, Will is noticing that as well. He's telling his mom this is what's happening as they're getting closer to the mine,
Hmm.
and of course, Will's talking to him. This is the part when he's trying to like turn Henry back to the light, like the actual
This
light.
this
Like, you
this is
were a
this
kid too. You
yeah
were a
this
little.
this this is the moment that I alluded to a few moments ago, where we get that. Well, let me backtrack here for just a quick second. So
Okay.
there was a prominent fan theory before the final episode aired, and actually really before the entire season began airing, that we were going to have a potential redemption arc for Henry slash Vecna, where it would turn out that Vecna wasn't really the most powerful being, and that actually he was himself being controlled by the Mind Flayer, and that they
Yep.
were two distinct and separate entities, which turns out they are, in fact, two different and distinct entities. However, as Henry, the reason why he had the fear of this cave was because that was kind of the genesis moment of him having his powers awaken and coming into contact with the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer tells him in this moment when he's a child, come and find me. And so Will, as he's connected with the hive mind, as this moment is unfolding, he realizes that Henry, as a child, was basically taken advantage of by the Mind Flayer and made into this monster, and that the darkness entered Henry as a child in this moment in the cave, and that's why Henry is terrified of it, because it's a memory that he repressed, and it's a
Yep.
memory that he realizes that that's when his life completely changed and went dark, if you will.
Hmm.
And so, for a quick moment, there's that hope that maybe that redemption arc for Henry slash Vecna is coming and that it's on its way. And
Yep.
Will is speaking to him via the hive mind, because now Will can see what Henry sees,
Yep.
and Will now understands. Oh my gosh, I can empathize, because Henry's innocence was stolen by the mind flayer
Yep.
and made into this monster. And so Will's like trying to speak to him and appeal to his humanity. There clearly is a little shred of humanity left in Vecna, and that's
Yep.
what Will's trying to appeal to. And so, it was kind of a moment where my daughter and I once again were looking at each other like, "Oh my gosh, is are we gonna get it?" Because again, I keep comparing Stranger Things to Cobra Kai. Because I'm a product of the 1980s, love the
Hmm.
Karate Kid movies, and I think that Cobra Kai was like the greatest thing to happen, to perpetuating and really playing out a particular universe from 1980s movies, the Karate Kid universe. And Cobra Kai, there were so many character redemptions, which is why I loved it. Because let's be honest, folks, we all love a good redemption story, right? And
Yep.
I mean, I mean, again, being a child of the '80s, Darth Vader even got his
Yeah.
redemption
Star
moment,
Wars.
right?
Yep.
Anakin Skywalker. So, but we got to see all these great character redemptions in Cobra Kai throughout its run. And so I was so, I mean, I would have loved, I got to be honest, I would have loved to have seen some kind of a redemption from Henry or Vecna. And
Yeah.
sadly, even though Will
Artemis.
was making one heck of a good case, Will's like, "Hey, it's not your fault. Let's fight this thing together, and let's do some good together, you and me, Henry." And sadly, Henry's response is something of the order of, "It never controlled me. It was basically my decision." And sadly, therein ends the potential for a redemption for Henry. But it was that, to me, was one of the more intense moments of this final episode. Was that little that little segment right there?
Yeah. And as Will's trying to talk Vecna down, of course the mind flayer is waking up, and he's like, "Don't listen to it." Like, and the mind
Yep.
flayer is like waking up at it, becoming its physical form. And of
Hmm.
course, that makes the group. The group has to start battling this thing that's so huge.
Yep.
And guess who comes over is 11, starts distracting it, and goes head on into it.
Yeah, and this is shaping up to be the ultimate showdown. And it was really cool, because there was a moment where, when everybody in the party, right? So we're talking, everybody is there. Lucas is there. Will is there in Dimension X, and they're on this, on the planet. Dustin's there. Steve, Jonathan, Nancy,
Mm-hmm.
and so they all get there, and I forget exactly how. I think it was Dustin asked the question once they all got there on the planet, as it were, and they're like, "Well, I guess so. Now we're interdimensional space travelers." And Lucas just kind of quietly under his breath says, "Yeah, suck that, Armstrong," which I which I thought was kind of neat, kind of funny.
So 11 goes in and starts her battle with Vecna, and which is they're like throwing each other across the room. And Henry catches and starts grabbing 11 by the throat. Of course, Will starts joining in the fight as well. I'm like, he's back. He's got his powers back.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought he was done with that after Henry kicked him out of his mind, but he got it
Yep.
back once he's like activated with the hive mind right there. So he's able to combine forces with 11 and just defeat Vecna.
Hmm.
And of course, Mrs. Rambo is shooting at the mind flare. So it looks like she's almost going to die at some point because she was kept backing up. There was only so much she can back up, and at the point she's
Yeah.
into a corner and she's shooting, she runs out of ammunition, and they're able to like combine forces, fight together, and eventually the mind flare gets defeated and it dies.
And if we thought the Mind Flayer from season three was really tall and really, this huge monster, the actual physical, embodiment of the Mind Flayer on its home world was like, what, two, three times the size of that. I mean, we're talking like this humongous, monster that oddly reminded me of like a giant king crab for some reason.
Or Godzilla or something. Like it
Yeah.
reminded me of some. A friend of mine said it reminded him of something from Godzilla, which he said it kind
Yeah.
of disappointed him because in season three, the mind flare, it's not physical, which is the most scarier.
Hmm.
It's like it can do stuff that's really scary, and this thing is physical.
Yeah.
But
It's like I'm watching this and then, subliminally I'm thinking, all of a sudden I have a craving for crab legs. I don't know why.
yeah, right there on the screen.
Subliminal advertising. There it is.
Yep. So if Joyce gets her moment with her axe, she finally is able to use it.
Hmm.
It's like you messed with the wrong family. She becomes Mama Bear right there and starts hacking away at Vecna. Of
Yep.
course, Vecna's dead. Mind Flare's dead. Everybody's happy. They find the kids and they find Holly first, and they're able to get all of them out of the hive minds there and bring the
Yep.
kids back.
Yeah, that was really cool to see Joyce have that protective, like you said, Mama Bear moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to the Harry Potter movies and the final Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part Two, when Mrs. Weasley, dispatches Bellatrix Lestrange after she's, murdered one of her sons, and
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a cool moment for me to see some Mama justice being enacted, and it was great that and rather fitting, I think, that as Joyce is about to deliver the final blow to Vecna, there's all these visions popping up in her mind of all
Yeah.
the things that happened, all the things that he was responsible for. Flashback to Bob's death, right? Somebody that
Yeah.
Joyce cared for immensely, and then all the disappearances and things that happened to Will, and so it was very poetic, I would say, that Joyce be the one to deliver the final knockout, if you
Yep.
will, to Vecna, and it was also cool to see that moment where when Holly is freed from the whatever the thing is that the kids are hooked up there
Mm-hmm.
in the Mind Flayer, and to see Holly come in and to see Mike come in and to see all three of them, all three of the siblings embracing each other like that was really really kind of cool to see that moment.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, and my favorite moment of that, Derek, when they get Derek disconnected from his thing there, and
Yeah.
Steve is the one that's there, and he's giving Steve a big old hug, and then he
yeah.
pukes on Steve, and Steve's like, "Thanks." That
Well,
was
he's the
awesome.
ultimate babysitter, so
That's right. That's
I guess
right.
they all flock to him.
Exactly. Exactly. So who better to be there in that moment than Steve, right? I mean, just
They couldn't have killed him off
yeah.
because he needed to be there when the kids were rescued. It was perfect.
It was very perfect, and it was also kind of funny to see, Derek quite obviously has really taken a shining to Mike, and
Mhm.
it was kind of cool to
So
see
he's
as
like,
the kids are in the
he's
van,
at the
in the upside
bottom.
down, getting ready to go back to Hawkins, and
Yeah.
Derek's there in the van, and
He's like, eesh.
he's
And
like
Mike's like,
having a big
okay.
fanboy moment, and Mike's like, So it was cool to see.
All right, the favorite part of the moment is Murray setting the bomb to go off and completely destroy the Upside Down, and that pops on. One of my favorite songs that popped on that they chose to play for the last moments was "When Doves Cry."
Now, folks, you guys know how big of a music fiend I am. I mean, it's what I do for a job. I'm an audio engineer and music producer professionally, and uh, having been a fan of Prince's music and also knowing how notoriously difficult it is to get Prince's estate to agree to authorize and license his music for anything like TV shows, movies, marketing, things like that, is like next to impossible up to this point. And the fact that the Duffer Brothers not only got When Doves Cry, which is absolutely one of my absolute favorite songs of all time, to say nothing of one of my favorite Prince songs, but that wasn't the only Prince song that they got. They got my absolute all time favorite Prince song that played a little bit after this. But yeah, when Doves Cry began playing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like
I was singing along
perfect.
with it, like yes, as they're driving out of the Upside Down, like
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. Right there with your sister.
Yeah, thanks to the finale, I now have that in my playlist now. The "When Doves Cry." That's one of my favorite songs.
That belongs on every music lover's playlist. When Doves Cry, and the other one that we'll mention in just a moment.
hmm So as they come out of the Upside Down, of course the military's right there to meet them. Then they're like grabbing everybody to come out of the truck, making everybody line up on the truck and everything, and they're wondering like, where's the girl? Where's 11? And they're all like, oh, maybe she hid. And of course, they see an outline of her standing on the bridge at the edge of where the Upside Down is. And
Hmm.
Mike has an intense moment in trying to go after her. Of course, during that time, that you notice the kryptonite is turned switched on, which we will refer to later on in the later conversation. So Pop 11 uh, brings Mike into her mind and pretty much says goodbye to him, and that's really hard for Mike. And
Yeah.
during that time they're doing that, they're playing the song "Purple Rain," which is quite fitting. They said the meaning of the song "Purple Rain" it has something to do like an apocalypse or finding love during that time. I guess that was the meaning of "Purple Rain," which is perfect song to pick for, especially when the Upside Down's about to blow.
And that is my all time favorite Prince tune. I mean, that's the beauty of music. You know, if I can pontificate here for a moment on how powerful of a media music is. I mean, music is a literal time machine. You can hear a song and it'll instantly transport you to a time and place that you remember vividly, and you'll remember, like with Purple Rain. I mean, it's just
Yep.
instantly, for me, it represents one of the greatest ballads ever written. I mean, it's truly, you hear this term timeless applied to certain artists and certain songs and things
Yep.
like that just transcend time. They're just always going to be something special. And Purple Rain, regardless of what anybody might think of Prince as a human being, or even the rest of his catalog that was released after Purple Rain, uh, Purple Rain, it's one of those rare songs that just, it's like that guy just, there was something truly special about that song. To
Yeah.
this day, it still sends chills down my spine when I hear it. And there's a gorgeous, the original 8.5 minute long version of it. Obviously, there's a shorter single version that was played on the radio that was like 4.5 minutes or so, but
hmm
the full glorious 8 minute and like 15 second full version is just truly. I mean, from a songwriting standpoint, from a musicianship aspect, I can't think of many ballads that are as perfectly executed from start to finish as Purple Rain. And to have that song selected as that moment to really drive home the emotional impact of
Yeah.
that moment with between
Well,
11 and
especially
Mike.
when they're flashing back and Mike first
Yeah,
sees 11 and they're dancing at the homecoming as well.
yeah. And that's what music is designed to do, folks. Music is there to make you feel. Music has to move you. And if music doesn't move you, that's okay. That's the beauty of music. It's the beauty of art. It's a very subjective thing. Somebody may be moved by one piece of music, and there's probably some of our viewers right now are going, "Psst, come on, Purple Rain, give me a break." And that's okay, folks, because that's what the subjective nature of art in music is supposed to do. But
Yeah.
for me, this song has so many. I have so many fond memories of this song, going back to the clear in the time when I think I was in junior high when it was released.
Hmm.
Perfect time in my life to have a song like this. Because I would have been the same age, give or take a few years of the kids that are here in Stranger Things, their characters, and so it's not at all a bad thing to feel. I mean, truly, viscerally feel music when you encounter something like this that is so masterfully put together in the moment on film, where you have a song like Purple Rain that is used to enhance and really build that crescendo, if you will, to use a music term, of making that moment just come together and, like I said, viscerally feel the emotional impact of what's unfolding on screen. And
Yeah.
I think they hit a grand slam, not just the grand finale. This was the grand slam moment for me anyway, because it hit me in the feels, as they say.
Yep. So afterwards, the bomb goes off and the Upside Down gets destroyed. Mike is still trying to reach for 11, but well, of course 11 is still there. Or is she? We'll find out
Hmm.
later. Anyways, everything stops after that. The portal is closed, and what remains is just a destroyed building. What originally was, I guess, a public library. With the weird
Hmm.
part, the sign says Public L. What does that tell you?
Everything is done for a reason. There are no coincidences.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's like having the theory, like, did she die or did she not die? Did something else happen?
Things to make you go,
Hmm.
hmm.
Yeah. So later on, it fast forward to like 18 months later. Um, what's her name? Robin, Rockin' Robin, is on the radio again. And she's saying she hasn't been on in a while, and so she comes back on like, "Hey, is anybody there? Does anybody remember me?" And so she's like giving everyone an update on what's going on. So the Hawkins town is rebuilding. It doesn't look as recognizable as it was before, and yeah, of course you see this pillar
And
says in memory of supposed earthquake that passed that some of the citizens died of, and
I wish we had a screen capture of some of the names that are on it, because it'd be cool to see,
yeah.
if they acknowledge the deaths of, you know, some of the people that we know died, like the what was his name, Jason, the jock from season 4,
Hmm.
and whatnot. But yeah, it was really cool to see Radio Shack back in business, right? And
Yeah.
Melvalds, which previously in this season we saw had all been boarded up and was not conducting business, obviously, and yet here we are. 18 months later, we see this shot of presumably Main Street and Hawkins, and all those
Hmm.
businesses are back in action, which is great to
Everything's
see.
booming. Everybody's
Yep,
happy. There's no
yep,
fences, no military, and that's
right.
what gives me the question: like, how did the military like go away so fast? Like,
Hmm.
what's your theory on that, Jim?
Well, I could throw in a really snide political comment, but I'll refrain. But but no, what I would say is that's a great question because one character that I feel was kind of wasted was Dr. K, right? I mean,
Yeah, like what happened? I'm sure she was pissed after that. All of her research
yeah,
was destroyed.
yeah. Like what exactly? How did that unfold? And I mean, as far as I'm aware, remember Dr. Owens, Paul Reiser's character from seasons 3 and 4.
Hmm.
Last we saw, he was alive. When
Yep.
Sullivan's men came in to try to get their hands on 11. So was Owens involved in returning order back to normal, if you will, to Hawkins? But yeah, what happened to the military is it's a mystery, and I'm kind of that's probably one of my bigger criticisms is it didn't really give us any explanation of how everything just suddenly went back to normal so
Yeah.
quickly, and so
Maybe
that's a
because my theory maybe is because the Upside Down is closed. Everything, all evidence is destroyed of what happened.
right.
So I guess
Yeah.
they can't. That was a top secret message. They can't really prosecute any of the citizens that went against them. So
So here's the
dispersed.
question, though: is that I mean in real life? Would the the famed wet works that allegedly exist to silence people that are in the UAP legacy program? You would think that maybe there'd be some danger of them trying to eliminate. But then again, look at how many people actually knew about what was going on. You
Yeah.
basically had all of the Wheeler family, all of the Byers family, and
Hmm.
so. But yeah, I'd love to see maybe that question get answered at some point in the future, and maybe it will with one of these offshoot series that they're talking about starting up. So who knows?
Yeah.
We may get an answer yet. So stay tuned,
Maybe.
folks.
We'll see. Later on, they the whole class is graduating of 1989. That's what year I was born, so that's a good year to graduate or do any for things to start over and stuff. That was actually the same year the Berlin Wall came down as well, so that's a good
Yep,
year to actually start things off fresh.
1989 was a good year. I can confirm.
Yep. So
Yeah,
meanwhile,
because it's funny because I was talking with a friend of mine once a couple of years ago, like when did what year presumably will the Stranger Things kids graduate? And I predicted 1990, but 1989 was
you were
was was
close. You
pretty
were
close.
close.
Yep.
So during the graduation, everybody's getting ready. Everybody's happy and getting, but except for Mike. Mike is kind of sitting there at the memorial and kind of feeling sad and not wanting to really graduate with the rest of his class. Of course, Hopper finds him and gives him a talk, kind of
Yep.
like what he needed from. He was pretty Hopper. I think was pretty much like one of my favorite characters. He was like a father figure to these
Yeah.
kids when they needed
Yeah.
it because they've gone through a lot. He's gone through a lot as well. So I think Mike really needed that in order to get him to move forward. And like Elle made her decision, now it's time to make yours. So he was able to move forward and be able to graduate with the rest of his class.
Yeah, and it was really cool. There were two little things that we saw in the build up to the graduation moment. One of which was it cuts to a scene of Max back on her skateboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because prior to then, the last we saw of Max is that she was still confined to a wheelchair and basically, wasn't able to walk, wasn't able to, didn't have her full, functions back. And
Yeah.
by this time, 18 months later, Max is back to full health, full strength, and skateboarding just like she always did. And
Yeah.
then that moment, as Hopper's walking up to Mike, we see him get out of the police vehicle, and he is clearly the chief of police of Hawkins once
Yeah.
again, which I think was pretty cool to see. And That would be an interesting moment. How does Hopper explain to everybody that all of a sudden he's back and he didn't die in the
Yeah.
Starcourt Mall tragedy? So that was a neat little Easter egg that they threw in there that Hopper gets out of the chief of police vehicle and he's still dressed as the chief of police and
Yeah.
his uniform I think even said chief of police on it. So it was that was a cool moment.
He got his old job back and everything. Like that was like, oh wow, okay.
Yep.
Everything's like really back, almost back to normal. But
Yep.
so the class graduates, and of course, guess who's the valedictorian? Dustin is. So he
That's right.
shares a speech.
And his speech was an absolute tribute to Eddie, which
Oh yeah,
was
definitely.
really cool to see. And you know, Dustin just being Dustin, and Dustin's become like this anti-authoritarian figure, which has been great to see. And
Hmm.
and his mom is there as Dustin's telling off the principal and all this stuff during his speech. You see his mom going like, "Yeah," and uh,
Like,
and then
oh
of
yeah,
course
it's like she agreed with him.
and of course, Mr. Wheeler has survived. He's out of his coma, and he,
Yeah,
survives long enough to to say language.
of
Right?
course.
When Dustin drops some profanity, Mr. Wheeler's quick to say language.
Of
So
course, Mrs. Wheeler is rolling her eyes, like
rolling
whatever.
her eyes. Yep.
She's just happy that her son is participating as well because she was missing for a while and she was worried.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
everybody's celebrating, and of course the principal starts getting angry and starts yelling on the speaker. Which, of course, good thing Mike participated because he was able to think back on what happened during the
Hmm.
time when the Upside Down was being destroyed. There
Yep.
was a speaker there that was on. Let me show the picture here. During the time, the principal is he's all pissed off and he's like yelling into the screamer, "Back in your seats! Back in your seats!" The speaker starts going off on weird, kind of like a weird noise.
Yep.
Here it is. I got lots of pictures here. That brings Mike the memory. Like, wait a minute, those speakers were on during that time. How was she able to just stand there and not be holding her ears and going into almost a fetal position? Was she
Hmm.
there or was she not there? And that's something that he shares with his friends later on at the D&D game. But before then, I like the favorite part between Hopper and Joyce. Of course, he spills the beans and says, "I got a job at Montauk, of all
Right.
places."
What are the odds?
Montauk. Okay. Hmm. That's another Easter egg right there.
Yep. And to that end, both Miriam and I can say, been there, done that.
Of
Right?
course, we've talked about this. We've already
Yes, we
know we are
have.
completely aware that the Duffer Brothers based it off of the real story that happened.
Yep.
Of course, it's conspiracy theory, but it's happened.
Isn't everything?
Oh yes. Don't say too much or you'll get Montauked. Anyways, Hopper asked Joyce to marry him, and she said yes.
Yep. Yeah, that was an awesome moment.
Yeah. And he seems happy. He doesn't seem as sad or anything, and like he's able to move on and do a
Yep.
happier ending with them.
Yep.
Or maybe does he know
So,
something? Maybe.
so tell us about Steve. What happens with Steve?
Oh yeah, they all like he's a softball coach or some baseball coach now or something like that.
He
He's
becomes a
working with.
little league coach and a here it comes, folks. No pun intended. He's a sex education instructor in high school. Who saw that coming?
Wow.
Wink,
Okay.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. So the
No,
very
I was.
last, yep, the very last scene is when they're at the D&D games. This is my favorite part when they're battling on the game. And of course, the all seems lost in the game that they're playing, except when they start to conjure up someone called the mage. So I figured, like, my ears perked up immediately, like the mage, like, could that be someone that we're
That
be talking
that's what
about?
they called Elle in season two, right? When they were, when Max had just moved into the area in season two, and they're explaining to her, who Elle was. Elle was our mage, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah.
So their mage king comes in and saves the day in their game, and
Hmm.
that concludes their game. And then they start talking about different things, what the future holds for them, and Mike becomes the storyteller for everybody's future. And he says, as for the mage, did she die or did she not?
And
So,
we see this alternate theory that is put
mhm,
forth by Mike, who is now the storyteller,
yep,
wherein going back to the moment of the detonation, if you will, of the
yep,
Upside Down, you know, Kali was still alive, and because she's a master of illusion, she created the illusion that Elle was there inside the portal, the entryway into the Upside Down, when in fact Elle was not there. She had actually figured a way to sneak out and to basically escape
yep.
her own
Put into the
destruction.
tunnels.
So with Kali's last dying breath, she creates the illusion that Eleven's on the bridge and she's being ripped apart by the forces of gravity and everything else, and meets her demise. And
Yeah,
Mike tells this beautifully poignant story about how did she or didn't she, and that's kind of what we're left with is, you know, is has Elle escaped? And one of the last images that we see is Elle, presumably. To me, it looked like New Zealand. I don't know. Who knows? But
some people say Iceland, so, but I did
yeah,
Google and look up, is there an area with three falls? And yes, apparently there is between Canada and the United States where Niagara Falls is. So,
Niagara Falls,
yep,
Buffalo. There we go.
yep,
I was there this summer, so I can confirm there's at least that many falls.
yep. So she was there, settle in a small town, and be able to live for life in peace. Everybody
Yep.
goes around and says, "Is this really a true story?" Everybody's saying, "I believe, I believe,
Hmm.
I believe." I do. What do you think, Jim?
I sure want to believe, not to borrow a phrase from X Files, but yeah, I definitely want to. But at the same time, I like how they kind of left the door open, and they've already said there's going to be an animated series, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also going to be a spin-off series of the direct Stranger Things story. So we don't know any of those details. We don't know if that's going to be something where maybe they can explore that possibility. Is Elle still in fact alive, or are we going to follow the story arc of one of the other people that's in the party as they move on with their life? But
Yeah.
it was really cool to see, and we mentioned this briefly before you and I started recording today, is that this grand finale episode has been a bit divisive within the Stranger Things fan community. There's some people that absolutely loved it and thought that they tied up all the loose ends really well. They thought it was really well executed. But there's also some that said, this was, complete fluff and nonsense and crap, and there were so many unanswered questions, and I just don't like the fact, we were promised there'd be a body count, and we only got basically one, maybe two, two with a
Yeah.
question mark. But for me, my honest assessment, and I was a hardcore fan of the show from the very get go, going back to
Mhm.
2016 season one. I loved how they combined every element of what it was like in 1983. I was alive in 83. I was about the same age as the kids were in 83,
Oh, cool.
and it just looked just like I remember 1983 being.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot of people are saying that, and they were how much they were able to relive their childhood through Stranger Things.
exactly. And I have yet to see a series that has done that as effectively, where they captured the look and feel of a particular era.
Hmm.
And the amazing thing is that it wasn't just for season one. They were able to do that throughout all five seasons, really. I mean,
Yeah,
the culture of the 80s wasn't as prominent of a thing in seasons four and five, maybe, but
yeah,
seasons one, two, and three, it was all about, bam, I'm right back there in 83, 84, 85. Even touching upon New Coke, those of us that remember New Coke, right?
Oh, and
And
there's certain toys that they use in season three. I remember you. My
yep,
sister had something like that, and you know the thing that they were communicating with when one of them were in the upside down. I think there was it lights up. And you
Light
like put
Bright,
like a design.
yeah,
My
yeah, the
sister had
light
something
light
like that.
bright,
I remember I remember how that like this. So they
yeah,
picked that.
yeah. So I think that the show was a huge success. Quite obviously, it had a massive fan following, and overall, would I give the grand finale two thumbs up? I absolutely would. I liked it. I liked how it ended on a positive note, where
Yeah,
we see everybody, all the core group of friends made it through it together. Hopper and Joyce ended up together. Um, Steve ends up very happy, very much alive, doing something he's passionate about. Quite
yeah,
obviously, he's found his calling, being a teacher and being a coach, because he's just
yeah.
got that natural ability. And
And of course, hanging out with Dustin once in a while.
right, and Dustin going off to college, and hanging out with Steve occasionally on the weekends. So great to see that. And Jonathan has finally moved off to go to attend NYU as he wanted to, and he's become a very promising independent filmmaker. And Nancy's gone off to college, and we find out that she dropped out of college, and
Mhm.
she's just kind of having that moment of that I think we all experience at some point, maybe some of us more than others, of trying to figure out who we really are and what we want to do with our
Yeah,
lives. And she's kind of having that existential moment, if you will. And Max and Lucas end up together, and Will finds his happiness as he moves out of Hawkins as well, and it's just really great to see. That's what we want to see. These kids became our friends. We literally watched these actors grow up. We watched the
oh
kids
yeah,
grow up right before
yeah,
our eyes, and it's been wonderful to see that, because there's a lot of great shows. I mean, when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of shows that lasted 10 years,
yeah,
and this to that end, this has been a bit of an exception, and it's been great to see the evolution of not just the characters, but just the people that these actors have become, especially the kids. And I have, obviously, there's some plot holes that are in this. This wasn't perfect.
yeah.
It wasn't
That's
flawless.
that's what
There's
I
a
was
lot of
going to mention.
yeah, a lot of questions that are out there, like the great one you brought up about the military.
Mm.
Um,
There's a
but
lot of holes that weren't that
and I think
unanswered questions, I should say. So
and I think that was intentional. I really do.
maybe,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, true. But I know some people that they realized the Duffer Brothers revealed that when they first start filming season five, they didn't have the ending yet at all. So the ending I think was a little bit rushed, but I'm happy that the characters they did go off in the good chapters of their lives. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I
This could
mean
have been
it's
a nice ending right here. Maybe did Mike ever see 11? Maybe every reunite. That's possible. Maybe.
yeah, I mean it's cool that they left, again, they left that door open of maybe, who knows, in the future maybe they can revisit Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Um and maybe we'll get closer to an answer on what the truth is on 11. Like I said, I want to believe. I'm not going to say categorically I do believe that she's alive, but I can, if we find out eventually that she is still alive, that'll make me very happy because
Yeah.
I'd love to see all the horrible things that she had to endure. And talk about somebody who literally had their childhood stolen from them.
She treated like
Uh,
a lab rat, pretty much. She
yeah,
went through
pretty
hell.
much. Exactly. And so to that end, I want to, I do hope that her character survived and is able to, forge a new life for herself. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's the way it plays out, then that's an ending I'd be happy with. But I also understand where the people are coming from that are disappointed and saying, well, we were all deceived because we were told there was going to be a body count, and you know that didn't really materialize. And maybe that plays to what you were saying about how when they began filming season 5, maybe they didn't really have the ending completely set the way they wanted it to be.
Yeah, they
But
left us hanging pretty much.
yeah,
I was just sitting
so
there for a while, like, that's it. Of course, there was a lot of theories going around, like, oh, there's an episode 9 coming out. Oh, is episode 9's coming out today? Like, no, the documentary's coming out today, behind the scenes of it. I've not seen it yet, but
yep,
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
yep, yeah. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm looking forward to watching that. I've I've just started watching the most recent James Fox documentary, his Moment of Contact update. So I'm kind of in that frame of mind right now, gathering data for my own podcast. But yeah, that's the making of behind the scenes thing that came out this last weekend
Oh, yeah.
on Stranger Things. That's one that's pretty high on my list. I'm probably going to watch that in the next day or two.
Yeah, I might as well. Another thing I want to share here is I know someone had actually caught a photo of when they were coming off the truck. They circled where 11 was on the truck. She was grabbed.
Hmm.
So I don't know where else she went. Most likely, did she cloak? Maybe. Or another
Well,
theory is that
I don't
maybe,
I don't I don't think she had the ability to do that herself. It would have had to have involved Callie, or she just simply,
or she
was
was
able.
able to absorb that power into her as Collie passed away. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
That could have been, that's another theory. Like maybe she became more powerful after that.
could
And she
be.
was visible.
Yep,
Maybe.
yep.
So that's another possibility. I'm glad someone that I caught that. Like, where did she go after that? Everybody was coming off the truck. She was grabbed, so she was.
Sh
There's no
Come
way.
on, she went to get tacos. What? Who wouldn't? I mean, you just beat a planet, and I mean, beat like the biggest threat to humanity. What's the first thing you're going to do? I'm going to get tacos.
Go grab some Eggos. Go grab some tacos and Eggos and pizza. Go hide in the under the tunnels for a little bit, and then till the coast is clear, go
Yep,
where you need to go.
absolutely. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, for joining me for these recaps. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I had a good time doing it. And of course, always a pleasure to speak with you, and can't wait
Yeah,
to see you hopefully at Phenomicon coming up later this year. And
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
yeah, all kinds of fun stuff on the horizon. But always a pleasure to visit with you. And
Hmm.
anytime I can talk about Stranger Things and music, I'm there.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that was
thank you,
awesome.
and thanks
Hey,
to
we
all of
can,
your viewers and subscribers. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And tip of the hat to you from the strange and unusual place known as Utah.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll see you there maybe in September this year.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for these recaps, and we'll see you in a future episode. Have a good night,
See
everybody.
ya.